Hey, g'day, big bikers! Well, you saw we just stopped and got some fuel. Actually had a coffee. But it's a ride day today. So we're going to go somewhere, well, different for me. Normally I head up into the hills over that way. We're going to head over to Victor Harbour, or over towards Victor Harbour. I'm not going to Victor Harbour. Heading over towards the Victor Harbour, which is the eastern side of the Fleurieu Peninsula. And we're just going to go and answer some questions. I've been really slack. Every time I get on the bike, I actually completely forget about the stuff I'm supposed to be talking about. So, we're just going to go riding around on some roads. Compass Country Cabins. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to go find somewhere pretty, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to answer all the questions that people have been asking me over the last couple of years, you know, and so that's really what we're going to do today. There's so many people, there's a couple of things I'm not going to talk about because they're really detailed enough to want a video on their own, but we're going to walk around the bike and talk about all the things that people ask me about. I've put this camera back on the front. I've put this front view camera on, but I've actually changed the camera. I had the DJI Action on there the other day, and I didn't like the angle because it wasn't really wide enough. So I put the my GoPro 4 on, Hero 4, and it's got a super wide function on it. So hopefully we're getting plenty of coverage that way. The wide angle on the DJI wasn't wide enough, and it didn't. The problem for me, and a few people said they really liked the new angle, but the problem for me is it wasn't different enough from this camera. So this camera is almost, you know, they're not that far apart, but I like this angle because it actually, you're with me, you know. Anyway, there's some, oh, no, I think we passed it. So I'm going to talk about the map. I'm going to talk about the app that I run. I don't like saying it's a GPS because I don't use it as a GPS. A GPS in the sense of turn-by-turn directions and go-to points, all that sort of stuff. It's not really that. It's a map application, and I use it as a rolling map, and I allow myself the freedom to go, oh, what's up that road? And I can actually be a little bit more flexible that way. But I'll talk about that when we stop. And by the way, Craig, you'll be pleased to know I pumped the tyres up. The tyre pressure monitoring system, we're going to talk about that. I get a lot of questions about that one. I'm going to talk about the quad lock. That's whether I like it or not. Anyway, how about we do that? I don't know whether you can hear that wind in the helmet. It is so windy at the moment. Here's one of these, what's up this roads. Yeah, I've got a lot of pressure in the tyres. The really good thing about the pressure monitoring system is you can actually watch as the tyre temperature increases. Obviously, so does the air pressure inside it. So, I mean, when I started this morning, the front was at 27, it's now 31. So I try to keep the air pressure low-ish, like around 25, so that when they get hot, they get up to around 28. I went for a ride the other day and they were 23 psi and it was cold and they really didn't change that much, which was okay because we hit that wet clay stuff, and I tell you, that front end just saved me. I've actually got some video footage, and I should have put it in that one. When that front end went out from me, I've actually got that track on the ground. You can actually see where the front end just skipped down into a little dip in the centre of the road, and just the side grip on that Pirelli just saved me. So yep, we'll be talking about the tyres too. I'll put this one back on. Went for a drive in the car the other day because I wanted to be out. I wanted to actually go down to Cape Jarvis and get a sunset of the sun going down over Kangaroo Island, which was pretty cool. And I took the car because I was going to be coming back in the dark, obviously, after the sun goes down. And you've seen the size of the roos around here, right? So Land Cruiser's got a nice big bull bar, and I was quite happy. Bull bar and spotlights, so I was quite happy coming back in that. And here comes oncoming traffic. Yeah, so I went down. So I went for a bit of a drive down the coast. It was late in the afternoon. I think I left at about 5 because the sunset was about 8:15 down here. So we are a long way south. I went down past, what's the name of it? Kakaringal or something. I'll put the name in there. But I was just calling into the different beaches as I went down, and it was pretty cool. So I didn't go for a swim. But I went to this. I'm going to put the name of it in because I'm going to pronounce it wrong. And I'm sitting. I drove over the hill, and you see the ocean. You see this great big thing sitting out, and I'm looking at it. And I'm going, I don't know. It's not rocks. It was just too square to be rocks, and I thought, submarine, but it was too small to be a submarine, and then I'm like, it's just really, really weird place for this very symmetrical thing just to be sitting out in the middle of the ocean. So I flew the drone out. It was beautiful. It wasn't windy on that side of the island, which is great. And I flew the drone out, and it looked like an alternator. That's what it looked like. It actually looked like an alternator just sitting out in the middle of the ocean. And it was 1.2 kilometres out. It was, when I measured it with the drone. And I went, what is it? So I jumped on Google and said, what's that thing in the water off the coast of whatever the name is? And it came up that it's a wave generator. But it's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be at Port Lincoln. And as they were towing it around at Port Lincoln, the barge it was on sank. So it's just stuck there. And that was 2014, and I was supposed to do a salvage and a rescue on it, but they just, didn't get around to it. They haven't done it yet because, it's going to cost somebody some money. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, then I went down to Starfish Hill Wind Farm and just had a look at the big wind turbines there. And because that was right on the tip of the Cape, it was actually blowing quite a lot. And then I went down to Cape Jarvis and I watched the Sea Link ferry come in. The Sea Link ferry is the one that goes over to Kangaroo Island. And I'm still undecided as to whether or not I'm going to take a trip over there. I'll have to give it some thought. I might go down and do it overnight, or I'm not sure. It just all depends on whether I want to or not. So yes, that was cool. So I watched that sunset, which was pretty amazing. corner. They smoked me for doing that. So yeah, so that's what's been going on in terms of you know, what I've been doing and running around. So there's some nice footage I can put in there. But let's go and find this spot to chat. So I headed inland a bit away from the coast and hoping I'd get up on top of one of these ridges, but it's taking me round behind the hill. So it goes up the hill. Yep, that's all we want. Can you see that? I wonder. Right, that's not the spot I want. You can see how windy it is. We might try and get around onto the headland over there. I think that's down towards Middleton. Bike path. Probably can't see it, but there's an obelisk up there. Doubt if we'll be able to ride to that. Now I'd put the drone up. There's a helicopter buzzing around, so can't do that. That's Horseshoe Bay, Port Elliot. There you go, it's Encounter Bay. Oh, that's Encounter Bay. All the way around, goes all the way around to Kingston SE, Robe, all the way. And that's where Nicholas Bourdin and Matthew Flinders met, out off that coast right there. and that was 1802, and they were both mapping the coast of Australia. And sometime over the next couple of weeks I'll take you down to Kangaroo Island. I went down there the other night, but it was just way too windy to do any recording, so probably is a bit too windy here too. But I'll tell you the story about Nicholas Bourdin and Kangaroo Island and Napoleon Bonaparte. So, very interesting story. Anyway, he didn't come here to find out about that. Let's just have a little talk about Mrs. Jones. I get questions all the time. Questions are, what sort of crash bars? Well, they're the Outback Motortek crash bar and bash plate. The reason I got this one is because it actually joins up in front of the engine and protects the pipes. Almost all the other ones I've seen, the pipes are fully exposed. So I wanted bash plate and crash bars that were connected, protect the engine, do all that. The tyres, the front tyre is the Pirelli Scorpion Rally Desert. Okay, now it's got a branding on it, or there's a mark on it that says 54R. A lot of people ask me about this tyre. I haven't had any trouble apart from a couple of flats, but you get them. There's a million Scorpion rallies out there, but it's a Rally Desert, and I run this one with a UHD tube, so an ultra heavy duty tube. And that enables me to run the pressures, particularly when I get into the really soft sand. I can get down to about 15, 18 PSI even when I'm fully loaded. And as you've seen from a couple of videos, I can actually run it flat because that ultra heavy duty tube. I don't carry a spare ultra heavy duty, I carry a spare normal one, because the ultra heavy duties, you've basically got to cut them out. They're a real pain and you can't repair them. Alright, the front guards. So this was a custom made kit by Barry Wolf. It's all called the Wolf kit. So they're KTM 450 fork protectors, CRF 250 fender. You got to put a, because the high mount kit requires you extending the brake line. I've got some braided line on that. It's all custom made. I've got the Wilburs black. I'll put the number in there. I can't remember the number right now, but it's a Wilburs suspension in there. It's been fully upgraded. A lot of people ask me what these skateboard wheels are. Well, the skateboard wheels are there so that when I put my foot, my boot goes in against there, and I can actually stand up and throttle on quite hard. And the back of my legs take the pressure off my wrists, obviously. They're like a steg peg. Now, the 2016 and 17 models Africa Twin go straight into the passenger peg mount, but I don't think the later models you can do that with. You've got to have some kind of bracket made up. Barret Racks with the Mosko Moto. It's the Backcountry 35, so they've got a bracket on the back of them and they slide straight onto those plates. Quick release on and off, no problems at all. The exhaust is a Delkevic SS70. You got to make sure you fit them properly. And the rear tyre is Tractionator Adventure, and with that and the Pirelli on the front, even fully loaded on big desert trips, which is all the bike used to get used for, I could get about 8,500, 9,000. I could probably squeeze 10 out of them, but I tend to every time I'm going for a big ride, I go, I better put some new tyres on. So I've never got 10, but I reckon I could. So that's the combination that I use. I normally run, what pressures do you put in it? Okay, I normally run about 25 in the front, even on the road, because when the tyre gets a bit of heat in it, the temperature goes up, or the pressure goes up. So 25 takes me up to about 27, 28 PSI. Which is fine, particularly when most of the weight's down the back of the bike anyway. The back I run at about 32, unless I'm off-road. If I'm just normally riding around on the bitumen, 25 on the front, and about 32 on the back, and then that goes up to about 35 in the rear when it gets hot, and about 28 in the front. If I'm riding off-road and I'm fully loaded, depend on how much weight I've got on the bike. There's no one tyre pressure that suits all, because every bike's a different weight. It's loaded differently, so you just use your thinkerator a little bit. But for that one, when I'm travelling off-road, and it depends on the conditions. If I'm off-road and it's a bit sandy, I'll drop them down to about 28, and then the heat obviously takes them back up around 30. So, and I haven't. That's a really, really tough tyre that I've never had any problem with that. Touch wood. Front I've had a couple of flats on, but as I said, with the UHD tube in it, no problems. All right, my backpack is it's called an R20, and it's a Krieger R20. I love this thing, and I love this thing because of the harness on it. The harness is absolutely spectacular, and I can carry. It's a 20-litre one, so you can carry 20 litres. So I carry about 2 litres of water, and I'll stand this way so that you've got that beautiful scenery. I put about 2 litres of water in the back. I carry the drone. I carry the drone in the back of the backpack, so that it's not affected by the vibrations if I mount it on the bike, in a bag on the bike, for example. Yeah, but I love that. That's a great pack. I've got a heap of stuff in there. Mosko Moto Nomad tank bag. That's terrific, nice and small, so when you stand up it doesn't get in the way. I've got the Mosko Moto Scout 25 on the back, and that's got all my spare tyres, or spare tubes, repair kit, tools, wet weather gear, all that sort of stuff that I just keep with me all the time, and it basically stays on the bike the whole time. Got a camera mount here, again Barret Racks and the Mosko Moto plate, peg there. My toolbox, lunchbox, my bit of Tupperware on my Honda. I've put a plug in there so that I can run the pump, and it's one of those I can't remember what it's called, RC or something plug. But I can also charge the battery as well, so I can plug the battery charger in on the same plug, and the power will go back into the battery. Got a camera mount there. I changed the foot pegs, so they're XR650 foot pegs. And let's go and have a look up here. So I've got a bracket up there. I was going to talk about the Spot Gen 3 and the Garmin InReach and InReach Mini, but I'll leave that for a separate one because there's a lot of information in there. The maps I use, so this is my old iPhone 6 Plus, and so there's no SIM card in that. I've got it on a quad lock. It's mounted on there with a quad lock. It's getting a bit worn though, so it's a bit of movement in there. So there's a lot of dirt. That's had a hard time, that one. The maps are Hema maps, the Hema Explorer. Now, it's not a GPS. People say, what sort of GPS software are you using? It's not a GPS. So it doesn't give me turn by turn. It doesn't give me any directions at all. It is basically for me a rolling map, and what I do with that is I actually record my track on it so I know where I've been. So for example, you can see that's the Fleurier Peninsula. I'm probably not going to load because I don't have a SIM card in it. So if you're going to use Hema Explorer, you've really got to download the maps where you're going before you start using it. You can't just head out and expect it to work. You've actually got to download the maps, and it's very, very simple. You draw the area in where you're going. You do it at home while you've got Wi-Fi, and you download all the maps. You can download a whole state. You can download the whole country if you want, but it takes up a lot of space on your phone, so I tend to just download the areas I'm going to. Now, because I'm using that without any data whatsoever, there's no SIM card in it, you'll probably see in some of the videos it's scrolling, trying to keep up sometimes. It doesn't generally matter. If I stop, I just give it a chance to catch up. you know, it'll actually load the maps that I've got in there, but they're not the high detailed ones that I use. I just really want to see if it's a dirt road and if it connects up to where I'm going. That's all I'm doing at the moment. If I'm planning a big trip, then I go into a little bit more detail. I put, you know, I put all the points of interest and all that sort of stuff in there, so I know where the campgrounds are and, you know, where the potential spots to stop are. So anyway, that's that. What else? I've got aftermarket levers on. They're adjustable. They're shorter, a little better. I've got a charger in there, but that's not working at the moment. I've got to fix that. And that's pretty much it. That's the Bark Busters, but I've got the Storm covers on that. They're called Storm. I've got the short screen. It was supposed to be blacked out when I got it, but it was just smoked. So I've just painted the inside of it, and I really like it painted black in there because it makes that area there quite dark. So during the day, the instrumentation cluster is still good to see, even with it turned all the way up. I run a Bell Adventure helmet, MX9, I think it is, and all right, let's just have a serious talk for a minute, okay? Your head is a different shape head to my head. Your head is a different shape head to almost everyone else's head. Your head is your head. So don't jump on Facebook and go, what's the best helmet to buy? Because the best helmet is the one that fits your head properly. Let's just work on the basis that you're going to buy an approved certified helmet that meets all the safety standards. Get that one out of the way. The next thing you should look at doing is not how pretty it is or whether it matches your bike, is does it fit your head? Because if it doesn't fit your head and you've got pressure points on your head and you take your helmet off after 2 hours riding or 3 hours riding, or in some cases riding all day, and you've got sore points on your head, it's going to drive you nuts. So get a helmet that's comfortable. If it's quiet, great. If it looks pretty, great. But if it's comfortable, that's the first consideration, particularly if you're thinking about spending a lot of time on the motorbike. People going, oh yeah, I don't, you know, like, what's the best sort of helmet to get? Get the one that fits your head, the shape of your head. I've got a bell head. I've got a bell end. No, my head's a bell end. My head's a bell helmet. My head fits bell helmets. I've tried Arrow, I've tried Shoei, I've tried all the brands, but the helmet that fits me most, doesn't give me any pressure points at all, and is the most comfortable fit for me, is the Bell MX9. I generally wear, I don't have them with me today, I generally wear earbuds, and they're connected into my Sena S20. So there's a connection on the bottom there, so I can plug the S20 into a headset, and I can wear the headphones there. So people go, how noisy is the helmet? Have you heard my bike? I can barely hear the music over my bike. I can barely hear my bike over the music sometimes too. But I wear earphones, and again, get comfortable ones, because there's nothing worse than having sore ears at the end of the day. But I wear earphones because you don't have to have the music in your speakers. If you've just got speakers, you don't have to have the music so loud over the road noise. So that's why I wear those, so I can keep the volume nice, still hear the bike, I can still hear the road around me and all the traffic when there is traffic. But that's it. Everything else on the bike is pretty much standard. Seat is stock standard. Bike's got 45,000 kilometres on it now, so I've only gone through one set of chain and sprockets. I do all the servicing myself. Yeah, that's Mrs. Jones. And tyre pressure monitoring system. Now, there's these things on the valve, and they send a little Wi-Fi signal to this unit here, which tells me as I'm riding along what my pressures are. At 29 and 36 at the moment, a little bit high, but you know, that's fine. I've had this on
probably maybe 3 years now. There's a little USB charge port on the side. I've probably charged it 3 or 4 times, maybe once a year I have to charge it. I've only had to change the batteries in the sender units on the valve. I only had to change them once. Very, very odd kind of battery, very strange. Actually had to order them and get them delivered. But that's a really essential piece of equipment. That was like $60 on eBay. The tyre pressure monitoring system is what they're called. So TPMS, that's the name of the. So when you put TPMS into eBay, do a search for eBay on tyre pressure monitoring system, TPMS, then that should come up, and there's a whole variety of those. So that's it. Everything else, I haven't touched the engine at all, apart from regular servicing. Just a beautiful bike. I love it. I love Mrs. Jones. She's been faultless. The only time I've had any trouble is when I run into kangaroos. I've had the front forks replaced. I've had the front wheel replaced. So that's an XL rim. I think it's a Haynes hub, and it's got heavy-duty spokes, stainless steel spokes on the front. They're nearly twice as thick as the rear ones. The back is stock, and everything else, like I said, I haven't touched it. There's no mod chips in it. There's no accessories. There's no, the only thing I've done is put in that plug on the side to wire in the battery so I can charge it. And that's it. The cameras that I use, so this one's currently the one that I'm talking on, is the DJI Action. That's the Sony FDR X3000. There's a Hero 4 on the front. That's just a new fitting I got the other day just to try that front angle. Not sure whether I like it or not. But that's it. That's Mrs. Jones. I hope that answers all your questions. Don't ask me any stupid questions, alright? I'm trying to the whole point of this is that whenever someone asks me a question, I can just send them this video, and I don't get caught up answering the same question, because not everybody watches. I know I've talked about each of these things in various videos. Not everybody watches all of the videos. But that's what everything is that's on the bike. I will do a separate one for the emergency beacon, so the Gen 3 spot tracker and the Garmin InReach. I'll do a separate video for those because that's a little bit more detail. Alright, thanks for coming along. Beautiful day, South Australia, lovely view, blowing just a little bit. Really is a lovely part of the world. I do like it here. All right, let's go.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in again. Appreciate you stopping by. Remember, there is such thing as a stupid question. A lot of people say there's no such thing as a stupid question. Oh, yes there is. I beg to differ. You see plenty of them on Facebook every day. Oh, that's a little harsh, isn't it? People, you got to learn somehow, right? But I'm sure there's some people that go on and they ask about oil just to see the thing explode. There's bored sitting at home going, how can I wind up a few people? I know, I'll ask about tyre pressures, or I'll ask about what sort of oil they use. And I'm pretty sure people do that just to give themselves a bit of a giggle.